Almost everything that can be said about Super Bowl 58 has been said. And yet, 2 weeks on, there's a feeling that lingers. If you're a fan of the Kansas City Chiefs, your team has just entered the pantheon of legitimate NFL dynasties, joining the Packers of the 60s, the Steelers of the 70s, the San Francisco 49ers of the 80s, the Dallas Cowboys of the 90s, and of course, the New England Patriots. But if you're a fan of the San Francisco 49ers, the feeling is that of a nightmare. Now we know it's not a nightmare. Maybe we're stuck in some kind of purgatory. It's impossible to know for sure. But one thing I do know is this. For the third time in the past 12 years, 49er fans are asking themselves, how could this have happened? There's only one way to find out the answer to that, and that's to look at the film. Because here on Josh's Football Breakdowns, I'm not going to try to tell you what you're seeing with your own two eyes. We let the film tell us what we're seeing. And it's not always easy. But one thing that you guys know is that I'm always going to be honest with you. So let's get right into it. Now you may have noticed that the 49ers started off the game with a run to Christian McCaffrey, something I thought they would do a lot of in this game. And here, on the second play, they line up again in a run formation. Nick Bolton is pretty sure that they're going back to that run to Christian McCaffrey, and he heads in that direction. When this turns out to be a play-action fake, there's nobody left to cover Kyle Juszczyk. Now I can't remember the last time I've seen a fullback hurdling a defender, but the 49ers seem to be off to a great start. The 49ers would test the waters early. Brock Purdy looks deep to Juwan Jennings, but he's covered. Not only is there a corner back there, there's also a safety over there as well. Because for the third consecutive play, the Kansas City Chiefs have lined up with two safeties back deep. Interesting. So Brock Purdy resets his feet and takes a look at George Kittle. He's covered. So Brock resets his feet again and finds Christian McCaffrey. On the next play, we see that Kansas City again lines up with two safeties back deep. And spoiler alert, they're going to do this for the entire game. And this to me is fascinating. They were making the decision. They were not going to let Brock Purdy beat them. They're going to allow these runs to Christian McCaffrey instead. The 49ers are marching right down the field. They've run 4 plays and Christian McCaffrey has touched the ball on 3 of them. Nevertheless, Kansas City continues to line up with 2 safeties back deep. So Kyle Shanahan goes back to the run. George Karlaftis tries to get to the edge, but Kittle takes him out of the play. And Christian McCaffrey fumbles the football. Kittle's back is turned, but Karlaftis sees it and has an angle at it. And Kansas City recovers. Wow. Now that football is technically outside of the red zone, but Christian McCaffrey had 2 red zone fumbles earlier this season, both of which were recovered by the defense. One on an opening possession at Minnesota, and the 49ers went on to lose that game. And I had a feeling right away that this would not be good news for the 49ers. You can't give a team like the Kansas City Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes extra possessions. To me, in my mind, this game came down to 7 key possessions throughout the game for the 49er offense, and that was number 1. So the Kansas City Chiefs get the ball, and the 49er defense came out really fired up in this game. And Andy Reid knew it. And here, he makes an absolutely brilliant play call to try to take advantage of the 49ers' aggression on defense. Almost the entire offensive line and Isaiah Pacheco take a step to their right. But notice the center and the right tackle are moving to their left. This play will come down to Javon Hargrave. If he flows in that initial direction of the run, the 49ers will be burned because Reed has called a misdirection run to Pacheco that comes back the other way. Hargrave risks getting cut off from the play. But here, Javon Hargrave does the right thing and he penetrates straight into the backfield and disrupts the play. It's an outstanding defensive play and the Chiefs would soon be facing a 3rd and 12. Knowing that the Chiefs have to go a long way, the 49er defense rather sensibly hangs back. Now, a receiver does open up top, but in a stroke of bad luck for the Chiefs, that's right when Mahomes turns his attention to the other side of the field. With the pass rush closing in on him, Patrick Mahomes has no choice but to dump this ball off. Now, Tony Romo caught a lot of heat for his ridiculous bout of euphoria at the end of the game, but he did do a good job of explaining some things. Here, Nick Bosa appears to have an inside lane, but that would allow Patrick Mahomes to escape out the side. Nick Bosa was prepared for this and made sure he would have an angle to go after Mahomes. The pass would be complete well short of the line to gain, and the Chiefs would have to punt back to the 49ers, giving San Francisco the rarest of things in life, a second opportunity. The Chiefs continue to line up with 2 safeties back deep, despite 3 running threats in the 49er backfield. Now, with that many run threats, it does suck in the linebackers. Brandon Ayuk takes the space the defense left behind. After Trent Williams' false start backs the 49ers up, we would see a spectacular connection between George Kittle and Brock Purdy. Unfortunately, this play wouldn't count. When Colton McKivitz gets backed into Brock Purdy, Purdy is forced to scramble. When Mike Dana pursues in that direction, this surprises Trent Williams, who's forced to grab and hold. Of the 7 key drives I mentioned, this would be drive number 2. So we have a Christian McCaffrey fumble and 2 penalties on Trent Williams, and the 49ers would have to punt the ball back to the Kansas City Chiefs. But the 49er defense would continue to dominate early. Here, Donovan Smith gets absolutely smoked by Chase Young. The Chiefs would end up having to punt back to the 49ers, who are facing a key 3rd down and 9, and it's their 3rd drive of the game. They've got to get something going here. Knowing the 49ers have to get all the way to the 39-yard line, the Chiefs drop their 2 safeties back really deep on this play, but they do have to bring one up to pick up Elijah Mitchell coming out of the backfield. And Kansas City also sent a blitz on this play. When Ray McCloud goes deep, he takes his man with him and the other safety is obligated to follow. This leaves Chris Connolly one-on-one, and he absolutely burns his man with a great route. Despite the blitz, the 49er offensive line does an excellent job holding up in pass protection, blocking one-on-one. Feliciano eventually does allow a rusher to get to the inside, but Brock Purdy is so comfortable moving around in the pocket. And it's a big-time conversion to Connolly, who used to play for the Chiefs. The 49ers could run the ball here, but Kyle Shanahan wants to test the Chiefs deep. Kansas City is determined not to allow anything over the top, so Ray McCloud comes open underneath. "18 yards to Connolly and 19 yards to Ray on back-to-back plays. You're not going to believe this, but on the next play, Kansas City lines up with two safeties back deep again. But Brock had faked the screen to Deebo Samuel, and one of the safeties drops down. And finally, despite all the precautions that the Chiefs have taken, the 49ers have an opportunity for a deep shot to Brandon Ayuk. But here, Ayuk inexplicably slows up on his route, not realizing that the ball is coming to him, and as a result, the pass is overthrown. This was terribly disappointing to me. Effort has been a topic of conversation for the 2 weeks leading up to this game, and you're going to do that in the Super Bowl? On 2nd and 10, Kansas City finally switches up their defense. Why? What's different about this? Well, the 49ers have lined up all of their players in a tight formation, and this allows the defense the chance to really come after San Francisco. Poor McCaffrey is destroyed, and I thought that this was a bad play call by Kyle Shanahan. If you wanted to run the football here, why wouldn't you spread Kansas City out specifically to get that two-safety look you'd been seeing to this point in the game? That's my philosophical reasoning behind it. Now let's take a look at the X's and O's. As is often the case, it was a small error that ended this play. Colton McKivitz and John Feliciano were not on the same page. What started out as a promising drive is now in a 3rd and 14 situation for the 49ers. And here we see another interesting play call by Kyle Shanahan. The 49ers send Brandon Ayuk and Deebo Samuel deep. The idea is to force the safety to choose one or the other. He goes with Ayuk, leaving Deebo Samuel one-on-one. But the ball is late, and McDuffie is able to recover, and the pass falls incomplete. And from this angle, we get a great look at why that ball was late. This time, it's Aaron Banks' turn to whiff on a block, after a great move by Chris Jones. Now, we've talked on this channel before about the importance of running backs being able to pass protect, and here Christian McCaffrey saves Brock Purdy's life. Nevertheless, Purdy is moved off his spot, and by the time he can get a throw off, it's too late, and the opportunity is gone. Now, I said that was an interesting play call by Shanahan. Here's why I say that. It's pretty clear so far that the 49ers can get that two-deep safety look they want pretty much any time. So why call that on 3rd down? That should be a play you would call on 2nd down, so that if it goes wrong, you still have one more down. And I say that because deep passes are inherently low percentage plays. There's one more thing. Because it was 3rd down, that means the 49ers did not gain any additional yardage for their field goal attempt. So Jake Moody's going to have to attempt an extremely long one here, 55 yards. I'm not really seeing a lot of good execution by the players or a lot of good decision making by the coaches so far in this game. Nevertheless, the kick is up, and it is a Super Bowl record 55-yard field goal. The 49ers take the lead 3-0, but there was definitely more missed opportunities on that drive. Again, when I talk about the 7 key drives, that was drive number 3. All right, let's take a look at what the 49ers are doing on defense. Here they have Mooney Ward lined up against Travis Kelce. Could be a good idea. But this also means on the other side of the formation, they have Oren Burks lined up across from the very speedy Mecole Hardman. And when Mahomes fakes the handoff, it freezes all of the linebackers, including Burks, turning Hardman absolutely loose. And it's a 52-yard gain on the play. Wow. And from this angle, we're going to get a great look at some outstanding offensive line play by the center, Creed Humphrey. Initially, he doesn't have anyone to block. And you'll know if you've played football, if you don't have anyone to block, your coaches will tell you, find someone to block. He takes a look to his right, you're good. So he takes a look to his left and he sees Randy Gregory, who's gotten past the tight end. The Chiefs tried to block Randy Gregory with a tight end. The center is able to move over there and pick him up. And this allows Mahomes the ability to buy time for the big play. Outstanding. Nevertheless, this was not a good decision by Mahomes. Despite the bust in coverage by Oren Burks, the 49ers have two safeties back with Hardman. But take a look at Tashawn Gibson. He's a little bit lost as to what's going on, and watch the ball just fall in right behind him. That ball should have been intercepted, but the ball never lies, and on the following play, Isaiah Pacheco would fumble the football and the 49ers would recover. A huge defensive play. Here, Diamador Lenore does a great job of preventing the tight end, Noah Gray, who outweighs him, from executing a clean block. Pacheco would like to go to the outside, but that's no longer an option. Unsure of what to do, he hesitates a little bit, and now Tashawn Gibson, yes, the same Tashawn Gibson, is able to go straight after Pacheco. He holds him up long enough for Diamador Lenore to come in and strip the football. The Chiefs would go on to commit a personal foul on the next play, so San Francisco has an opportunity here to mount another drive. But I really don't like this play design. Notice Christian McCaffrey coming across. That's because the 49ers have Deebo Samuel in the backfield. Here's the idea, to use Chris Jones' great strength against him. He penetrates so quick, the 49ers pin him to that side and Deebo will cut back to the middle. There's a couple of problems with this. Number one, again, philosophically, I don't like sending wide receivers up the middle. I get what they were trying to do. You think Deebo Samuel's back there, the 49ers are going to run to the edge. This is an opportunity to trick the Chiefs. Nevertheless, if you are going to go up the middle, it's got to be with a running back. You got to have Christian McCaffrey take that handoff, and maybe the play design needs to be a little bit different. That's just how I feel about it philosophically. In terms of execution by the players, Spencer Burford does not stick with his block for long enough. He peels off too soon, and the play is stuffed for no gain. On second down, the play is disrupted when Chris Jones again goes by Colton McKivitz this time. And Chris Jones is a special player, I understand that. But this is terrible execution by the offensive line. They are allowing Chris Jones to wreck this game. In fact, watch Colton McKivitz get completely turned around here. This is like something you would see in your kid's flag football game. On third down, the 49ers, somewhat understandably, leave George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey in to help with pass protection. It doesn't work. George Karlaftis is able to go right by Colton McKivitz. Never mind that Brandon Ayuk is being blatantly held. No call on the play. Nevertheless, Brock Purdy does try to step up and make something happen in the pocket, but notice what the Chiefs are doing here. They have Justin Reed acting as a spy. Now, normally that's something you would do, you would think with your athletic running quarterbacks, right? Your Justin Fields, your Josh Allens, your Lamar Jackson. Brock Purdy, they have decided they are not going to allow him to run around and make plays. And it works. So again, when I talk about the 7 key drives of this game, we're up to 4 now, right? The first 4 drives of the first half. Furthermore, something significant would happen when the 49ers punted to the Chiefs. The defense was getting ready to come onto the field, and Dre Greenlaw, getting ready to enter the field of play, tore his Achilles. Now, this wasn't a necessarily unexpected injury. They knew it was injured. They knew it was probably going to go, very similar to Richard Sherman's several years ago. You don't know when it's going to go. You just have to play through it until it does. The 49ers held him out of a lot of games until late, and it finally went in the Super Bowl. It's very bad luck for the 49ers, but not entirely unexpected. Mahomes, nowhere to go, buys time, and then he switches the ball to his left hand. He may have been attempting to throw a left-handed pass here. In any event, he gets off a very awkward two-handed pass. It does not make it back to the line of scrimmage. Now, you could argue that there is a receiver in the area. Nevertheless, the officials, in my view, rule this in a very rare instance. They enforce the spirit of the law. They knew that this was intentional grounding, and that's the way they enforce it. And this is going to be controversial. I think it was a good call. Intentional grounding is a very severe penalty, 10 yards plus a loss of down, so the Chiefs would eventually punt back to the 49ers yet again. Despite the threat of 2 running backs in the backfield, the Chiefs continue to line up with 2 safeties back deep. Now they start doing some things, they drop one down and they rotate a guy back, but at the end of the day, it's still 2 safeties deep. On this particular play, Justin Reid is moving forward right at the snap of the football, and this allows Debo to go right by him to space. And this is a great throw by Brock Purdy, throwing the football away from the defender. Debo survives the hit, and then he keeps going. Suspecting a run, this time the Chiefs do drop a safety down into the box. And notice Trent McDuffie. He doesn't rotate back. Instead, he goes with Ray McCloud. McCloud's very fast. The Chiefs are not going to allow him to run to the edge. By moving those defenders, the 49ers now have an opportunity to run up the middle, something the Chiefs may not have been expecting because that's Elijah Mitchell in the game. And here we get to our first trick play of the Super Bowl. Brock Purdy throws a very obvious backward pass to Jauan Jennings. His first read is to George Kittle, but he's covered. So he moves on to his next read of Christian McCaffrey. And by the way, neither one of those are easy throws. Both of them are long distance and require some accuracy, but Jauan Jennings played quarterback in high school. And Jennings is hit as he throws, but McCaffrey gets it, and he is off to the races. It is a touchdown for the 49ers, and if they can get this deadly offense going with some efficiency, the Chiefs will be in trouble in this game. A spectacular play. After the 49ers kick off to the Chiefs, they would eventually face a 3rd down and 9. Under pressure, Mahomes would be forced to scramble from the pocket. Justin Watson sees him and goes with him. Now Logan Ryan is there and he tries to go with Watson, but it's really hard to stick on someone when you're not looking at him. He's keeping his eye on Mahomes, and Watson slows up and sits up in an area of space so that Mahomes can get him the football. This is great chemistry between quarterback and receiver. Mahomes was flushed from the pocket thanks to an outstanding effort by Nick Bosa. Despite losing his balance, he's able to keep moving around, and he almost gets to Mahomes. Moving ahead in the drive, we can see that there's only about a minute left in the half with a running clock. Mahomes completes a pass, but it's stuffed for minimal gain, and the clock runs. Now the 49ers, because it's second down, should take a timeout here to stop the clock. If they get further stops, or even if they don't get further stops on second and third down, they can continue to keep time from running off the clock with their other two timeouts. It's important to understand that even if the Chiefs score, it's a good idea to do this, because then either way, the 49ers will get the ball with probably about 45 seconds on the clock and be able to make an attempt to go get some points before the end of the half. San Francisco didn't do this. They did not call timeout. They let the clock run. They let the Chiefs control how the end of the half would end. And this was a mistake by Kyle Shanahan. We've talked about his struggles in game management situations in the past, and here's another one. The drive would finally stall when Justin Watson is bumped by the 49er defenders. They're allowed to do this as long as they're within 5 yards of the line of scrimmage, which they are, as long as they don't grab and hold on to him. So Mahomes has to look for another target. He thinks about throwing the Frankie Albert jump pass and then gets rocked by Eric Armstead. Kansas City finally gets on the board, making the score 10-3, and what made the end of half mismanagement so egregious was Kansas City gets the ball to start the second half. But here they would be facing a 3rd down and 12. With nobody open initially, it may look like Mahomes has a lane to run here, but he's pretty far away from the first down. This is not realistic. He does see the sure-handed Marquez Valdes-Scantling coming open, but the truth is he's not coming open. Both the corner and the safety are in a great position to defend this pass, and it's the safety that comes up with the interception, the rookie, Jair Brown. After so many blown opportunities in the first half, the 49ers have a golden opportunity here in Kansas City territory to go up by multiple touchdowns. Unfortunately, here is where the 49ers really started to lose their way in terms of play calling. On first down, they line up everybody tight to the line of scrimmage, and again, this allows Kansas City to have one safety back deep. And the reason the 49ers are doing this is they want to exploit it with some deep routes. And to me, that's the problem. The 49ers can get this look whenever they want. They've been able to dictate what defenses they see based on how they line up offensively. Why not spread the Chiefs out, get them into the 2 safety look, run the football, and see how it goes? Then you'll know what to do on second down, and if you have second and short, then you have the opportunity to take the deep shot. It's easy for me to say sitting at the computer, but during the game, I don't think there was a 49er fan alive that didn't see this pass play and think, uh-oh, Kyle's about to abandon the run. And as we would see, this would lead to a whole sequence of events that would end up with Kyle calling 6 consecutive pass plays in a row that were ineffective. The idea of this, of course, is to force the safety to choose, just like we saw earlier, which route he wants to defend, and then Brock Purdy can take a deep shot to the other route. Unfortunately, this also allows the Chiefs to send a blitz. Now, if Christian McCaffrey had seen this right off the bat, he probably would have been able to pick it up. Instead, he continues carrying out his fake, the play is busted, and now the 49ers are faced with second and long. Now, from Kansas City's perspective, the 49ers just tried to take a deep shot against you, so they go back to their 2 safety look. The 49ers have an opportunity here to run on second down, with Christian McCaffrey. And then Aaron Banks' false starts. What are we doing here? Look at George Kittle's reaction. You may be able to get away with a run on 2nd and 10. 2nd and 15 is a passing down, and the Chiefs know it. They start off with 2 safeties back deep, but here Steve Spagnuolo makes a really shrewd call. He drops a safety down to blitz. But at the snap, he doesn't blitz. He disrupts George Kittle's route at the line of scrimmage. The Chiefs are only rushing 4. The 49ers thought he was going to blitz, so they left Christian McCaffrey in the block. The 49ers are only sending 4 receivers into the pattern, despite Kansas City only rushing with 4. There's nobody open, and Brock Purdy has to throw this football away. Facing 3rd and a mile, you know what the Chiefs are going to do, but this time they only rush with 3. Now they do have a linebacker that's responsible for Christian McCaffrey. If he stays in to help pass protect, he can rush the passer, but McCaffrey goes out for a route, so he goes with him. And once again, we see the very shrewd decision to leave a spy in on Brock Purdy, to take away any magical plays from Brock Purdy on 3rd and 15, and again, it works. The 49ers make the bitter decision to punt from within Chiefs territory. And a stat that really jumped out to me in this game was 2 turnovers by the Kansas City Chiefs, 0 points off turnovers by the San Francisco 49ers. And when we talk about those 7 key drives, this one is number 5. Now you can see the Chiefs are facing a 3rd and 1, and they are stuffed on the play. The 49er defense is having an amazing game against this Kansas City offense. They are holding up their end of the bargain without Dre Greenlaw. When the 49ers get the ball back, the Chiefs go back in their 2 deep safety look, and finally the 49ers run the ball with Christian McCaffrey. Except they don't. Remember, I told you they called 6 consecutive pass plays, and this is one of them. And what were the 49ers hoping to accomplish here? The Chiefs had 2 safeties back deep. They weren't going to get a big shot on this play. Instead, they lose yardage when Jauan Jennings isn't able to make the linebacker miss at the end of the play. And again, to virtually all 49er fans watching at home, this was absolutely maddening. They traded all those picks for Christian McCaffrey for situations like this. Why didn't they use him? All right, let's go back to the snap and take a look at why the play didn't work. Well, the defense was able to get home to Brock Purdy, despite the 49ers having 3 blockers on that side of the formation: Colton McKivitz, Kyle Juszczyk, and George Kittle. Actually, the 49ers would have 4 blockers on that side when Jauan Jennings would come around. George Kittle went downfield on a pass route. And to help sell the run fake, the entire offensive line all moved to their left, including Colton McKivitz. Kyle Juszczyk also went out on a pass route. So that left Jauan Jennings all alone against 2 defensive linemen. Since they lost yardage on the play, now it's 2nd and 18, and the 49ers are in another known passing situation. Kansas City's approach, again, is to only rush 4, dropping defenders into coverage to take away the pass. Brock Purdy makes his first read, doesn't like what he sees, resets his feet, and sees Christian McCaffrey open underneath. But here Aaron Banks gets pushed back into Brock Purdy. He's hit as he throws. McCaffrey still makes the catch, but he falls down, and he only gains 7 yards on the play. On 3rd and long, the pass rush again puts pressure on Brock Purdy, despite the 49ers leaving Christian McCaffrey in to help with pass protection. Purdy has to throw up a prayer to George Kittle, which is a shame because Deebo Samuel would eventually come open on this play. Thus ends another 49ers drive, and of the 7 key drives that I believe were the difference in this game, that was number 6. Now the Chiefs, of course, are also trying to get something going on offense, and here they go back to a strategy they used a year ago in a regular season game against the 49ers at Levi Stadium. They fake the handoff to the inside, they allow Nick Bosa to penetrate, Bosa goes straight after the running back, and Mahomes goes right by him the other way. The 49er coaching staff should have reviewed the tape of last year's game with the defense and prepared them for that play. Apparently they didn't, and the play leads to a Harrison Butker field goal. Now this is a real long one, and you can see when it's long you have to drive it low. And the 49ers almost come up with the block. And it's good, 57 yards. Jake Moody's Super Bowl record has been broken just that quickly. The 49ers are letting the Chiefs hang around, and Kansas City inches closer, making the score 10-6. And finally, Kyle comes to his senses, and this time legitimately calls a run to Christian McCaffrey. But here George Kittle accidentally trips up Trent Williams, and Aaron Banks whiffs on a block downfield. But this play design was good. It looked like it could have gone for a long gain. Again, Tony Romo makes a great point during the broadcast. That run was stuffed, but go back to another run. And the Chiefs are vulnerable to it. They're still in their 2 deep safety look. But we see Christian McCaffrey motioning out of the backfield because Kyle has called another pass. To say this was a sloppy game by both teams is an understatement. Here, Kansas City makes a mistake, sending 2 men with Christian McCaffrey and nobody on Deebo Samuel. Now Brock Purdy sees this, and I think he's a little bit confused as to why there are 2 players over there. In a very rare instance where he doesn't seem to see the whole field, he tries to get this ball to Brandon Ayuk, even though Ayuk is well covered. When it rains, it pours. The pass protection on this play was atrocious. Now Brock Purdy slides towards Trent Williams. Not a bad idea, but Williams, believe it or not, does to some degree get pushed into Brock Purdy here. John Feliciano is absolutely holding, no call from the officials on the play, and Colton McKivitz is beaten again. And just like that, the 49ers find themselves in another 3rd and long situation. The 49ers have nothing to lose at this point. They might as well take a deep shot, and Kansas City seemed to sense that. They stick both their safeties way deep on this play, and indeed, the 49ers did send 3 routes way down the field. Purdy tries for a one-on-one shot to Deebo, to no avail. And that, my friends, puts an end to the 7th drive of the 7 key drives that I believe were the difference in this game. The first 4 drives of the game and the first 3 drives of the second half for the 49ers. 7 drives yielded 3 points. If the 49ers had scored a touchdown on any of those drives, they very likely would have been the Super Bowl champions. I have a lot of thoughts about the execution by the players, the preparation by the coaches, and the play calling and decision making of Kyle Shanahan, but I'll save those thoughts for the end of the video. For now, the Chiefs are facing a 3rd down of their own. And despite it only being 3rd and 2, the 49ers themselves have put 2 safeties back deep. Instead of pounding the rock, this time it's Kansas City's turn to try to throw a pass. Now, does anybody come open? Well, the tight end appears to be open underneath, but Mahomes isn't looking in that direction. And the other receiver up top hasn't finished his route yet. With the pass rush closing in on Mahomes, he's going to have to scramble. and once again, Nick Bosa leaves himself an angle to go after Mahomes. The Chiefs once again punt back to the 49ers for yet another undeserved opportunity. And here the dam finally breaks. Robert Beal has no chance of blocking this punt, and yet he incredibly tries anyway, and he takes out the punter. That should be a penalty on the 49ers and a first down for the Chiefs. I was absolutely beside myself when I saw this, and that wasn't even the worst of it. No call from the officials, by the way. Now the ball is heading into the area where the players are. So Ray is shouting, "Peter, Peter, Peter," which means everybody don't set up for a block, get away from the ball. And we actually see Ambry Thomas do a really good job of this. You can see this in real time. Darrell Luter, on the other hand, apparently didn't hear the call. He tries to set up for a block and the ball bounces off his foot. It is a live ball. And then Ray himself makes the final mistake, trying to bend over to pick up the ball instead of falling on it. It squirts away from him. It's not a round ball. And Kansas City recovers. Wow.
Could you help out a 49er?
Andy Reid wastes no time calling a shot for the end zone, and the 49ers defend this in a very unusual way. They drop their safety down to pick up the running back, Pacheco, coming out of the backfield. And they ask Oren Burks to drop back, but he's going to be responsible for the very speedy Marquez Valdes-Scantling. This to me seems very unnatural. I'd much rather have my safety drop back and have my linebacker drop down to pick up Pacheco. And before the pass is even completed, Mooney Ward is asking, "What are we doing here?" It's a touchdown for the Chiefs, and just like that, they have taken the lead in this game. The 49ers now find themselves trailing for the first time in the game. They need to get their offense going. But here they're facing a 3rd and 5, and 3rd and 5 is 3rd and manageable. It's different than 3rd and long. In fact, the Chiefs choose to defend it differently. This time they only put one safety back deep, and they line up in press coverage against Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. And here, Juwan Jennings beats his man off the line and runs a great route. Kansas City decides to go back to their two safety look, and the 49ers exploit it. They don't exploit it with a run, though. This time, they do something that's the equivalent: the screen pass to Deebo Samuel. Now Kyle starts to exploit the defense a little more. They line up tight, so a safety for the Chiefs drops down. But here the 49ers motion Christian McCaffrey and Deebo Samuel out wide. With just one safety back deep, the 49ers can feel a little better about this deeper route to Brandon Ayuk. The Chiefs have been pretty reliably sending the blitz when the 49ers line up tight, and they do the same thing here. But this time the pass protection is excellent. "20-yard gain on the play. Kansas City goes back to their two safety look, and Kyle exploits it immediately, sending Kyle Juszczyk in motion to be the lead blocker for Christian McCaffrey. Well, Steve Spagnuolo's had about enough of this, so here he does something pretty rare. the Chiefs send not only a blitz, but they also send Nick Bolton, a 6-man blitz with no safety help, a 0 blitz. And unfortunately for the Chiefs, Bolton vacates the area right where Jawan Jennings' route calls for him to go. Fights through a tackle, touchdown 49ers, and just as quickly San Francisco has answered back. But then something significant would happen on the extra point attempt. Jake Moody's kick would be blocked, meaning the 49ers would only lead by 3 and not 4. Now, how much of this made a difference, we'll talk about later, but it does matter. It's not like the Chiefs got great penetration on the play. This kick was low, and keep in mind he wasn't driving it 50 yards like Harrison Butker was. Moody needs to get this ball up and over the line on extra point attempts. So the 49ers do still lead it 16-13 with about 10 minutes to go in the game, and the Chiefs are facing a 3rd down and 10. But here you can see the 49er defense looks a little confused. Logan Ryan is unsure of what to do, and Travis Kelce is wide open. A few plays later, Kelce would again come wide open when Oren Burks fails to carry him through the zone. The Chiefs have a solid drive going, but here, on 3rd and goal from the 3, the 49ers play good physical defense in the red zone. Javon Hargrave eventually gets through, and Nick Bosa is able to get off his block, helping to corral Patrick Mahomes. Incidentally, Nick Bosa was definitely held on this play. And then Trey Smith comes over and hits him in the face. No foul called by the officials. Nevertheless, the 49ers would have declined the penalty even if it had been called. The Chiefs make the difficult decision to kick the short field goal, and the game is tied at 16 apiece. With just over 5 minutes to go in the game, why change now? Kansas City continues in the 2-deep safety look. And I thought that Nick Bolton and L'Jarius Sneed were possibly held up by the presence of Deebo Samuel here. But both of them seem to be staring at Brock Purdy. And well, if you see the quarterback throw it, you're going to see the receiver catch it. And at this point, the 49ers want this clock to run as much as possible. In fact, the 2-deep safety look at this point in the game plays right into the 49ers' hands, because now they want to run the football with Christian McCaffrey. And they flip it to Deebo on the reverse. Oh, those tricky Niners. And from this angle, we get a great look at how the man who eventually made the tackle, Willie Gay, was held up by the trick play. Under 4 minutes to go now, Brock Purdy is in no hurry to snap this football, so he gives the Chiefs a hard count, and he catches them trying to send a blitz off the right side. So Brock Purdy calls an audible and changes the run play to the other side. And here on 2nd and 5, I think they get it a little wrong. Kyle tries to sneak in a pass. They do get George Kittle open, but the trade-off is a free rusher coming right at Brock Purdy. Now, we know that thanks to the laws of physics, Brock Purdy cannot throw the football through him, so he has to go around him first. And this allows the defender to close on George Kittle and make the tackle for no gain. We've reached the 2-minute warning, and the 49ers are facing the biggest third down of the ballgame. And here Steve Spagnuolo makes another outstanding defensive play call. This time they intentionally fake the blitz on the right side, causing the 49ers to leave their extra protection on that side of the formation. The blitz is going to come from the other side, but the 49ers don't see it. Trent Williams blocks the outside man, allowing a free rusher to come straight at Brock Purdy. Purdy is surprised by this as well. Otherwise, he would have thrown it right into the blitz at Brandon Ayuk for a first down. Instead, he tries to get this ball to Juwan Jennings, and this pass had no chance. Patrick Mahomes is going to get one more opportunity in regulation, so it puts the 49ers in position where they must at least make this field goal, and it's a long one. Moody gets it up, and it's good, and the 49ers take the lead, 19-16 with 1:53 left. The 49ers know that a field goal can't beat them, only a touchdown can beat them, so they drop everybody back deep. And they will allow these dink and dunks underneath. This time it's Oren Burks who gets a free inside rush lane at Patrick Mahomes. But like we talked about earlier, this just allows Mahomes to escape out the side. What could the 49ers have done differently? Well, you can see when the running back heads out for a pass route, the 49ers drop Chase Young into pass coverage. Very clever. But I think what I would have liked to have seen was the safety drop down to pick up the running back so that Chase Young could do his normal pass rush and contain. If they had done that, they probably would have brought Mahomes down for the sack. Once again, the 49ers protect themselves from the touchdown. They drop everybody back deep and allow the completion underneath. A minute 20 to go now and a running clock. Understandably, the Chiefs want to get set up on offense very quickly while they still have time left. And the 49ers don't quite have their defense set up yet. And by rule, Kansas City does not have to wait for them. Moving ahead in the drive, the Chiefs are now facing a 3rd and 7 with just 16 seconds left. The 49ers, Fred Warner, and Travis Kelce of the Chiefs go at it one-on-one, and Kelce wins this time, burning Fred Warner with a double move. With 9 seconds left, the Chiefs are going to get to take at least one shot at the end zone here, maybe more. Once again, it's two of the best players in the league going at it one-on-one. Travis Kelce won the first one, but Fred Warner wins the second one. Now, if the 49ers had been up by 4 here instead of 3, with 6 seconds left, the Chiefs could have easily taken probably 2 more shots at the end zone. So it was not a foregone conclusion that the 49ers would have won this game had Jake Moody made that extra point. It does mean that the Chiefs don't have to take any risk here and can settle for the field goal to take it into overtime. And Butker knocks it through, tying the game with just 3 seconds left. And that'll do it for regulation. And then we have the coin toss. And there's been all kinds of analysis from analytics folks and commentators and football people. And it makes for a great story. It makes for a great debate. But make no mistake about it, Kyle Shanahan made a mistake receiving the football. You always kick to your opponent so you can see what they do first so that you have the opportunity to match them. Now, Kyle said he wanted the third possession. Well, that's a fallacy. There is no third possession because Kansas City has said they were going to go for 2 had they scored a touchdown, which I don't think the 49ers were prepared to do. In any event, the 49ers start off 1st and 10, but quickly find themselves facing a 3rd down and 13. But here, Jawan Jennings is going to come wide open for a 1st down and maybe a lot more. The Chiefs do have 2 safeties back deep, but they're way far away from the play, and there's nobody else in the middle because Kansas City sent a blitz. The defender has no choice but to grab and hold. Later on in the drive, the 49ers would be facing another key 3rd down, this time a 3rd and 2. And the Chiefs send, get this, a 7-man blitz. But Brock Purdy sees that Brandon Ayuk has leverage on his defender. And this is an unbelievably good throw from Brock Purdy. Watch this. He throws and whoop, the ball's right there. The 49ers continue to move the ball down the field, and Kansas City continues to send pressure with another 6-man blitz. But this time they also leave a safety back deep. Well, they don't have enough defenders for everybody running a route now for the 49ers. There's nobody to cover Christian McCaffrey. The safety realizes it late and tries to drop down, but he's going to be unable to make a tackle on McCaffrey in the open field. After a penalty, the 49ers would be facing a 2nd down and 12, and despite only rushing 4, the pocket collapses. Brock Purdy is forced to scramble, and that's really too bad. If the line could have held on just a fraction of a second longer, the 49ers probably had Brandon Ayuk for a touchdown here. But Brock Purdy is able to make a great play to Kyle Juszczyk for a 1st down. On 1st down, the 49ers hand the ball to Christian McCaffrey, and he gains some productive yards. On 2nd down, the 49ers run the exact same play, and it stopped for no gain. And I thought this was a massive mistake. For one thing, you know you cannot settle for the field goal here, otherwise Mahomes will come down and beat you with a touchdown. The The 49ers needed to take multiple shots at the end zone here. If you absolutely positively have to run it, call a different play and then be prepared to go for it on 4th down. And we see the reason why this is such a problem on the next play. Juwan Jennings is wide open for a touchdown, but the ball's going to be nowhere near him because Brock Purdy is already getting thrown to the ground by Chris Jones. You've probably seen a lot of clips of this play, so what happened? Well, the 49ers start off putting Christian McCaffrey in motion. That moves a defender away from that area of the field. So far, so good. San Francisco figures for good measure, we might as well fake the ball to Christian McCaffrey while he's running by. And to sell the fake, they pull the center. So who then has the responsibility of blocking the man lined up across from Jake Brendel? Spencer Burford thinks it's him, but in reality it's Aaron Banks. Burford leaves the area he's supposed to be in, allowing the worst possible player, Chris Jones, an instant shot at Brock Purdy. Had they called that play on 2nd down, they would have another opportunity here on 3rd down. Instead, they settle for the field goal, and they take it, taking the lead. But again, I think this is a huge mistake. They had to go for it on 4th down here. They had to know that giving the ball to Patrick Mahomes would be fatal. Now, back to the coin toss. The Chiefs now know what they have to do to match San Francisco. So if they get stopped on 3rd down, they're not going to punt, for instance. They would lose the game. So they're going to go for it on 4th down. It's like they get an extra down the entire way down the field. And we would see this almost right away on this drive. Pacheco is stuffed on 3rd down, but now Kansas City has an extra down. They're going to go for it on 4th down. And it's so easy now to see how they have an advantage during this entire drive. To pick up the 3rd down, they call a play we looked at earlier in the game, faking the handoff to the running back, allowing Nick Bosa to penetrate so that Patrick Mahomes can run right by him. The Chiefs would face another 3rd down on this drive, and here we would see an unusual defense for the 49ers. They take a page out of Kansas City's playbook, sending an all-out blitz. But they're also paranoid about getting beat deep, so they don't bother to cover any of the underneath routes. The Chiefs are starting to get desperately close to the end zone. Here, they're in range of Butker. It'd be about a 50-yard field goal from here to tie it, but 3rd down and 1, they have a plan to win it. Now, the coverage on the back end is really good for the 49ers. But Mahomes sees that they only need to get to the 31-yard line for a 1st down, so he figures, I'll take it myself. And this is why it's so hard to stop teams on 3rd and short. And finally, after a long day of turnovers, penalties, sloppy football, poor play calling, and poor execution, the Kansas City Chiefs mercifully put an end to this game. Mecole Hardman goes to the inside, and Logan Ryan starts to go with him, but when Hardman cuts back to the outside, Ryan gets a little bit flat-footed, a little bit mesmerized by Mahomes, and Hardman is wide open for the coup de grace. I saw one of the sports writers describe it as a macabre ending for the 49ers, the way it just slowly unfolded over the course of the whole game. I can't remember who it was, so I apologize. But that was a perfect description, in my opinion. You know, I really had high hopes for the 49ers in this game. I thought they were the better team by far. It was the matchup the 49ers wanted. They didn't want to play the Ravens. Kansas City, to be frank, wasn't very good. And it's no disrespect to the Chiefs. They were very gracious after the game. And, you know, I want to be gracious to them and their fans. But this was a sloppy game. I don't think there's any denying it. The 49ers made massive mistakes. They turned the ball over. They showed up unprepared. The best players on the team committed significant errors. Christian McCaffrey, Trent Williams, Brandon Ayuk even. I mean, we looked at play after play. Go back and look again. It's really disappointing. And the coaching staff didn't seem to have the team prepared. The play calling at times was absurd. And the strategy elements at the end of the half and the end of the game reared their ugly head again. And I just go back to those 7 drives, the first 4 drives of the game and the first 3 drives of the second half. 7 drives, 3 points for the 49ers. They had so many opportunities to win this game. It could have been a blowout, and they didn't even show up. This was an extraordinary disappointment. Really frustrating as a fan, and watching the film was really, really tough. This was the Super Bowl with everything on the line, and they played poorly. They're going to have to live with that for a long time. Well, where do the 49ers go from here? It's going to be a long offseason. They're going to have to make some decisions about who they keep, who they cut, who they draft. All of that's normal. But I'm a little concerned. I'm a little concerned that everybody is going to be a year older, particularly guys like George Kittle, who are a little banged up year in and year out. Trent Williams is another example. This is a loss that could inflict a psychological blow. It could even be a turning point for the franchise. Will there be a Super Bowl hangover? Will the players continue to turn on each other like we've already seen in some of the social media posts after the game? They're going to have to, really look each other in the eyes in this offseason if they want to come back and make another very long, very difficult run at a championship. Now, they have the talent to do that. We know that. And we know that Kyle Shanahan has the ability to design these plays and most of the time call these plays in a way that gets the 49ers win after win after win in the regular season. The question I have for Kyle Shanahan, and I think it's a fair question, is he willing to take that extra step? Is he willing to do what it takes to improve himself? Sean McVay today just hired somebody to help him with game management and strategy situations. Will Kyle Shanahan be willing to do the same so that he doesn't struggle in these big moments like this? I think it's a fair question. Now look, it was a very disappointing ending for the team, but this season was absolutely tremendous. Huge signature wins over Dallas and Philadelphia. The 49ers do play Kansas City in the regular season next year. That's going to be a huge game. There was a lot to like that happened in this season, especially the growth of Brock Purdy. I can't wait to see what he does next year with a full, proper offseason under his belt. And this was a great year for us here on the channel and as a community. We went from about 8,500 subscribers to almost 12,000 this season. You guys have been absolutely tremendous. So many of you have taken that extra mile and stepped up to help the channel, to help me take the time to give you the quality you deserve. I worked really hard on this video for you guys because you guys just mean the world to me. You mean so much to me. I can't tell you how much I am humbled and how much I am honored and how much I just appreciate you guys so much. Year after year now, you guys come back and it humbles me. It really does. I don't know what else to say. Thank you for a tremendous, tremendous year, you guys. I can't wait. I look forward to seeing you all next year. And I don't know what the 49ers are going to look like next season. But we are going to be here to break down that film. And I will see you guys then.